Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shauna, and I have chosen to talk to you today about the 4 stages of pregnancy. I have 3 kids myself, ages 18, 17, and 13. So I would like to think I know a little bit about the stages of pregnancy and childbirth itself. The 4 stages of pregnancy are the first trimester, the second trimester, the third trimester, and then finally the birth of your baby. The first trimester, all kinds of things go on with the woman. Usually the first sign that she is pregnant is that she no longer has her period. Her hormones are doing crazy things, so her mood swings are all over the place, lots of ups and downs. She has tender breasts. A lot of women have morning sickness. I was one of the fortunate ones that didn't have morning sickness, but I have heard of several others who have had morning sickness all throughout the whole duration of the pregnancy. So hopefully you're not one of those. During this time, the baby is doing all kinds of developing. The brain and spinal cords are starting to develop. The heart starts beating. And the arms and the legs, the buds start forming. And the sex organs actually start forming. Which brings us to the second trimester. During this trimester, a lot of the symptoms that the woman feels during the first trimester, some of them carry over and intensify, such as weight gain. Obviously, the growing of the stomach is going to increase. And as the stomach grows, it actually sometimes causes it to be itchy. Some women swell, their feet and their ankles swell up. And they have lots of body aches. The baby during this stage, they start developing with, they start growing fingernails and toenails. Their skin actually starts to develop, and they become active. And this is the stage where you can actually start feeling them move. At first, it feels a little bit like a butterfly, kind of tickling the inside of your stomach, and then you can actually feel them start moving around a little bit more as the trimester continues. In this stage, you can also find out the sex of the baby if you're having a boy or girl, which is actually the most exciting part of this trimester, I think, is finding out what you're having. And you are going to want to start buying maternity clothes because your regular clothes are no longer going to fit. This brings us to the third trimester, which the baby starts actually growing a lot more. The baby actually does most of its growing during this stage. As the baby starts growing, the woman will feel a shortness of breath because the baby starts pushing up on the lungs and starts constricting, like how much air you can get. So you often feel a shortness of breath. You also have a lot of heartburn. It's been said that if you have a lot of heartburn, that your baby will have a lot of head, which was the case with my first daughter. I had a ton of heartburn, and she came out with a head full of hair. So I think that there's definitely something to that saying. During this time, you will also have trouble sleeping because you're completely uncomfortable, have a huge baby. So if you sleep on your belly, you will no longer be able to sleep on your belly, and you will probably have a hard time sleeping. Also, you will start having contractions. It could be false labor, or it could also be actual labor. Towards the end of the trimester is when you need to pay a little bit closer attention to it and start timing it to see if it's actual labor. Which brings us to the final stage of the pregnancy, which is the birth of the baby. The birth of the baby, you start having contractions, and in the third trimester, the baby has already positioned itself with the head down by the cervix. So as you start dilating, the baby starts dropping, and then eventually you have the baby. So in conclusion, it's a beautiful process. For me personally, I thought it was a beautiful process from beginning to end. I absolutely loved being pregnant. And The 4 stages, again, are the first trimester, the second trimester, the third trimester, and then finally the birth of your baby. I hope that I have given you some insight into this process, and what an awesome experience I believe it truly is. Thank you.